It happened at precisely 4:02 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. For billions of years, the moon has been our constant companion, a silent guardian that dictates the very rhythm of life on Earth. But on March 12, 2026, the rhythm stopped. Amateur astronomers were the first to notice. Not that the moon had disappeared, but that it had simply ceased its orbit. It hung in the sky over the Pacific Ocean, perfectly stationary, as if someone had pressed the pause button on the universe. Within the first hour, the global scientific community went into a collective meltdown. Gravity shouldn't work this way. The laws of physics dictate that an object in orbit must maintain its velocity or fall. But the moon wasn't falling, it was anchored. By the second hour, the first physical effects reached the coastlines. The tides, which rely on the moon's gravitational pull to move, didn't just ebb or flow. They retreated. In places like London, New York, and Tokyo, the water simply pulled back miles from the shore, leaving ships stranded in the mud and exposing ancient shipwrecks that hadn't seen the light of day in centuries. The world went silent, no waves crashing, no rising currents, just an eerie, heavy stillness that felt like the planet was holding its breath. But the silence didn't last. As the moon remained fixed in place, the Earth continued to rotate beneath it. This created a gravitational drag that began to warp the very crust of our planet. Deep beneath the tectonic plates, the friction started to build. The Earth wasn't designed to spin while its primary stabilizer was locked in a fixed position. I'm watching the data feeds from the Mauna Kea Observatory. We aren't looking at a natural phenomenon anymore. We've detected a low-frequency hum vibrating through the lunar surface. It's not rock hitting rock. It's a carrier signal. The moon isn't a satellite, it's a counterweight. And someone, or something, just disengaged the gears. My name is Sarah, and I'm beginning to realize that the moon we've been staring at for all of human history was never what it seemed. It was a piece of machinery, and it just broke down. By the 6th hour, the physical reality of a stationary moon began to rewrite the geography of Earth. Without the constant rhythmic pull of the tides, the oceans didn't just stop, they began to bulge. Water was being drawn toward the point on the planet directly beneath the moon, creating a massive, slow-motion super tide in the Pacific. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, the Atlantic sea level dropped so low that the continental shelves were fully exposed, revealing a barren, salty wasteland where the ocean used to be. But the water was the least of our problems. The Earth is an oblate spheroid, kept in its shape by the balance of its rotation and the moon's orbital tug. With that tug localized to a single spot, the planet's crust began to groan under the uneven pressure. Deep Earth sensors in the Ring of Fire reported a surge in seismic activity unlike anything in recorded history. It wasn't just one earthquake, it was a continuous planetary vibration. The ground itself was trying to adjust to a new center of gravity. I'm looking at the thermal scans from the lunar surface. The hum we detected earlier is getting louder. It's a rhythmic mechanical pulse emanating from the Tycho crater. We used to think the crater was the result of an ancient asteroid impact. Now the scans show a perfect geometric structure buried 3 miles beneath the dust. It's glowing. The moon isn't just sitting there, it's drawing power. It's acting like a massive vacuum, pulling electromagnetic energy directly from Earth's ionosphere. If this continues, the Earth's magnetic field will collapse within the next 12 hours. Without that field, we are defenseless against solar radiation. The pause in the moon's orbit wasn't an accident, it's a siphon. Whatever built the moon is finally coming back to collect the energy it's been storing for 4 billion years. We aren't just losing our tides, we are losing the very shield that makes life on this planet possible. By the 12th hour of the Great Pause, the sky stopped being blue, as the moon continued to siphon electromagnetic energy from our ionosphere. The friction between the upper atmosphere and the lunar gravitational anchor created a planetary-scale aurora, but this wasn't the soft green light of the north. It was a harsh, crackling violet that stretched from horizon to horizon, humming with enough static electricity to short out every satellite remaining in low Earth orbit. The world didn't just go dark, it went offline. With the magnetic field flickering, the atmosphere began to behave erratically. High-altitude winds, no longer stabilized by the moon's rhythmic orbit, accelerated to supersonic speeds. In the upper stratosphere, the air is literally being pulled toward the Tycho crater. We are watching 1 billion tons of oxygen and nitrogen being harvested every hour. If the siphon doesn't stop, the atmospheric pressure at sea level will drop below survivable limits within the next 2 days. We aren't just losing our tides, we are losing the very air we breathe. But the most terrifying discovery came from the visual feeds at the Mauna Kea Observatory. As the lunar dust is sucked into the siphon, the moon is beginning to shed its skin. Huge slabs of gray rock, miles wide, are breaking off and floating away, revealing a dull, metallic hull beneath. The geometric structures we saw earlier aren't just buried, they are the moon. For 4 billion years, we haven't been looking at a natural satellite. We've been looking at a camouflaged Dyson sphere, a planetary-scale battery that has finally reached full charge. I can hear the hum even through the thick glass of the observatory. It's no longer a vibration, it's a language. A sequence of pulses that our AI translators are struggling to process. The few fragments we've decoded are chilling. It isn't a distress signal, and it isn't an invasion fleet. It's a countdown. The moon isn't here to destroy us, it's here to leave us. And when a structure that size finally ignites its engines to depart Earth's orbit, the resulting gravitational kick will be enough to crack the Earth's crust like an eggshell. We are standing on a launching pad, and the countdown has already reached single digits. By the 18th hour, the Earth began to lose its grip on reality. Because the moon remained locked in one position while the planet tried to rotate, the gravitational stress created what scientists are calling void zones. These are localized pockets on the surface where the moon's fixed pull perfectly cancels out the Earth's gravity. In cities like Sydney and Honolulu, people and objects are simply floating away. Cars, streetlights, and millions of tons of seawater are drifting upward into the violet sky, suspended in a weightless purgatory. But the physical chaos is nothing compared to the rotational braking. The moon's fixed position is acting like a giant mechanical brake on the Earth's spin. Our 24-hour day is stretching. The sun is refusing to set in the west, and the stars in the east have gone stationary. This slowing of the planet's rotation is causing the atmosphere to pile up in massive, supersonic pressure ridges. The sound is like a continuous, low-pitched scream that never ends, the sound of a planet being forced to stop by an external hand. I am watching the latest telemetry from the deep-sea cables. The metallic hull of the moon is now fully visible, a dark geometric sphere of interlocking plates that span over 2,000 miles. It is glowing with a blinding white light that is beginning to melt the lunar dust into clouds of glass. The countdown pulses we detected earlier have shifted frequency. They are no longer just signals. They are pulses of pure kinetic energy. The moon is prepping its primary propulsion system. It isn't just a battery. It is a ship of a scale that defies human comprehension. We've realized that the moon didn't just appear in our orbit billions of years ago to help life evolve. It created us to be its maintainers. We were the biological guardians of a sleeping giant. And now that the giant is awake, it has no more use for the nursery. The seismic sensors are showing that the Earth's crust is beginning to buckle at the equator. When the moon finally breaks its anchor and accelerates away, the gravitational snap will be like a rubber band breaking. The resulting force will cause the Earth's oceans to wash over the continents in a single 3,000-foot wave. We aren't just losing our moon. We are about to be discarded by the very thing that made us. The 24th hour arrived with a silence that was more terrifying than any scream. The violet auroras suddenly vanished, replaced by a blinding, obsidian darkness, as the moon's metallic hull absorbed every photon of light in its vicinity. For 3 heart-stopping seconds, the laws of physics seemed to hold their breath. Then the engines of the Tycho crater ignited. It wasn't fire. It was a pillar of pure, white gravity that punched through the Earth's atmosphere, turning the sky into a swirling vortex of ionized gas. The snap happened in an instant. As the moon accelerated away from Earth's orbit, the gravitational anchor that had held our world together for 4 billion years was severed. The result was a planetary-scale whiplash. The Earth's crust, suddenly released from the moon's localized pull, buckled and snapped back into its original shape. A series of magnitude 10 earthquakes rippled across every continent simultaneously, leveling cities that had stood for 1,000 years. But the real destruction came from the water. The massive bulge of the Pacific Ocean, no longer held in place by the stationary moon, collapsed. A wall of water 3,000 feet high began to race across the planet at the speed of a jet engine. I watched the satellite feeds as the coastlines of the world were simply erased. There was no time for warnings, no time for evacuations. The continents didn't just flood, they were scrubbed clean. From the safety of the observatory, I saw the moon, now a shrinking star of cold blue light, leave our solar system in a matter of minutes. It didn't belong to us, it never did. It was just a traveler that had stopped for a rest, and we were the dust it left behind. Now, the world is quiet again. The sun is finally rising, but it's rising on a planet that no longer recognizes itself. Our days have been permanently altered. The Earth's rotation has slowed by nearly 4 hours. There are no more tides. The oceans are still, like a glass mirror reflecting a sky that is now empty and vast. We are a species of orphans, staring up at a space where our guardian used to be, realizing that we were never the masters of this world. We were just passengers on a ship that was never ours to steer. But as I look out over the ruins of the Pacific, I see something in the distance. Without the moon's interference, the Earth's core is beginning to shift. New islands are rising from the deep, and the stars look closer than they ever have before. We have lost our past, and we have lost our stabilizer. But for the first time in human history, we are looking at the universe without a filter. The moon is gone, and the long, cold night of humanity has finally begun. We are alone, we are broken, but we are finally awake.